So there's been a lot of things that have happened with the quail, and so we're going to go ahead and give you an update.
In this video we have an injured quail, so we'll warn you ahead of time if you need to look away if you're feeling squeamish.
So if you love learning about quail and all the different things that you can do with their eggs, from their meat to raising them and learning how to do those things, please feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss a video. The biggest change for the Fab 8, which were our 8 ladies, is that we have switched over entirely from a wire system for flooring by using kind of not a deep bed method, but we took our scavenged tiles that we talked about in a previous video and we put them on the bottom, covering it with straw. So they get a new bed of straw every time. And the reason why we did that was that I was reading that there's an increased rate of bumblefoot and other foot issues if you just put them on the straw. And then when I was doing our weekly health checks, I noticed that there were in fact some little scratches on their feet, and their feet weren't looking so good. Nothing like bumblefooty where it was like infected or anything like that, but it definitely needed I wanted to be able to watch it, so we went ahead and switched over to this method. So the ladies are laying us about 10 eggs a day, and as such you can see it's getting kind of hard for us to keep up with it, but we're pretty happy. Okay, so you heard me right. I did say we're getting about 10 eggs a day, and I know you're thinking, Richie, you're crazy. You just told us that it was the Fab 8, and it does not mean that I've figured out a way to get our quail to lay more than 1 egg every day. What we found is that we got to surprise 4 more ladies, and the story behind that is pretty funny.
Okay, so now that we've moved all of our female quail upstairs to the 2 upstairs coops where they have a lot more sunlight, we're now left with our smaller male coop up here, which is actually overcrowded with males. So if you'll come closer, you'll see they're here. We need more space, and we're not yet ready to go and build the larger coop upstairs for them, which is a project for another time. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole in the actual floor of their coop and put in a ladder so that they can also reach the bottom down here.
Which will give them a lot more space and access to ground and some more space so that the weaker ones can run away, like that one.
Yeah, a lot more space.
Yeah.
So this of course comes...
Go ahead.
So this of course comes with the downside that when it's time to go and bring them out of here, we get to send the kids in again. So going with our standard using free pallet wood, we have a larger pallet board which is plenty large enough for a ladder from the upper coop to the lower coop, and another piece of pallet wood which I destroyed while taking off from the pallet. And so I'm going to go and take the saw, cut off pieces to go ahead and either nail or screw them on at somewhat regular intervals so they'll have their ladder. like overall the ladder was a failure. Once we had our first quail go down the ladder, which we nicknamed Blue, so once Blue went down the ladder, the other ones shortly followed after, and they found all the food and water we had down there for them. But only Blue was able to figure out how to go up and down the ladder. All the other ones just went down that one time, and that was it. Blue came up, and we made sure to reward him with treats and his own feeding tube, his own feeding tray. But none of the others ever came back up. So overall, a good idea, and Quail just didn't know what to do with it.
Okay, so even though they didn't use the ladder as much as we wanted, the just downstairs part of the coop gave them enough space that basically our 11 would be really happy and have plenty of space. But it didn't stop the bullying and the attacking that they were going on
Look away!
to inside the flock. So we were trying to figure out what it could be and doing research and everything. And then one Sabbath, one Saturday, we were sitting around in the backyard just watching, kind of puzzling things through. And I came out with my coffee and looked in the coop and I saw 3 eggs. At which point I called my husband and was like, how in the world did that happen? And the answer basically was revealed.
Yeah, turns out that some of them were just unmarked. You're supposed to have the coloring on their chest so that we could tell if they were male or female.
Spots, yeah.
And yeah, some of them were just hiding apparently.
So it's actually not that uncommon. Basically, there are 2 options for what could have happened. The first one is that they had a spontaneous sex change, which, because poultry are always born with one ovary, whether they're male or female, is not unheard of, but it's very, very, like, extremely rare. So I don't really think it was that. Instead, from what we've read on the website of Kansas City Quail Farm, and they're a really good breeder and everything, is that their line, they keep records and stuff, and every 1 in 100 birds sometimes don't feather out the way they're supposed to. So we got this from a local breeder. It was part of a school project that we were doing with our PTA. It wasn't as high a quality as Kansas City Farms, and so we ended up with 4 ladies, hens, that actually feathered out like roosters. And they were laying eggs. So initially we pulled out the 4 that we thought were the most battered and beaten up, and their little feathers on the back of their head were all ripped out apart and everything. But it turned out that one of them was a boy, and he just happened to be the lowest man on the totem pole. So we let him heal up, and then we re-released him back into the boys' flock. And we found another one of our girls that at this point, because she was now the only girl down there with 7 of her male relatives, she was getting pretty pummeled. So we pulled her out, and now we have 4 new girls that are feathered like boys.
And laying eggs.
Lots of eggs.
So we're rolling in eggs now.
Yes.
Moral of the story is, while we're glad to have the extra females, we need to be better about actually knowing which ones are females and aren't. So we're going to have to get better at vent sexing all of the quail.